Simpsons roasting on an open fire is, to put it bluntly, really rough around the edges. The animation is very hit or miss, which makes a lot of sense given that this was the very first Simpsons episode to air on TV. The jokes, while somewhat unique for the time, are much more commonplace in this day and age. But as for a story about a father trying desperately to give his family a worthwhile Christmas, it is quite a fair bit better than I remember. I hadn't watched any of the first season of The Simpsons in at least a couple of decades. When the series was made available on Disney Plus, my lady and I started watching from season 3 onward. It was a ton of fun going through old memories of when I was watching this series back in the 90s. But from about season 9 onward, I wasn't laughing nearly as much, and was just completely checked out by season 11. It was within this past week I became curious about the very first episodes of the show, given that I hadn't seen them in so very long, and was pleasantly surprised by The Simpsons' take on Christmas. Having gone through several of the later seasons over the course of many months and noticing the steady decline in quality for each story, especially in regards to the emotional weight in characters and motivations, suddenly going back to the beginning and seeing this version of Homer felt grounded. It felt genuine. I had known for many years that The Simpsons started out as a sort of anti-80s sitcom, where show after show portrayed a happy, loving, upper-middle-class family where most everything turned out perfect at the end of every episode with only minor conflicts occasionally getting in the way. Seeing Homer, Marge, and their children having to constantly deal with the world pushing them down, I can easily tell why this series stuck out so much. Where most any other story of that age would end up with a miracle saving their Christmas in the end, watching Homer lie to his family because he doesn't want to disappoint them, watching him become a mall Santa just to scrape together at least some way of saving Christmas, only for all his work to yield next to nothing. Reluctantly going to the dog track for a 10-to-1 shot at saving Christmas at the last minute, only to give in to his gut, bet on a different dog, and lose everything anyways. He goes back home disheveled and defeated, ready to confess that he couldn't save Christmas, only for his family to heap praise on him for bringing home a dog. The same dog he called a loser not a minute before, and realized that he actually did fit in with the Simpsons. Life constantly bearing down on him despite every effort he can muster, not saving Christmas through any kind of miracle, but by embracing a pet who he saw as just as much of a loser as he was. Finding joy even in the midst of so much hardship and disappointment. Given this past year in particular, Simpsons roasting on an open fire just resonated a lot more with me. That no matter how much we've had our hopes dashed to pieces, no matter how many other people we see firsthand getting all the things we've worked so hard to achieve and yet had to accept going on without them, no matter how much we think we've failed in life, there can still be joy and love, even if it may happen in ways we couldn't have expected. Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy New Year.